There he is. There is the man with a master plan is in the house. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Damani is here. Got a center, buddy. Got a center a little bit. We're going to have you move over that way.
Oh, my bad.
Just a little bit to the left. There we go.
See this.
You look good, buddy.
All right. Perfect. Right. Good deal. Likewise. Hello to all you beautiful people. Freedom fighters in the house. Let's go.
Great to meet you, Damani. We've been chatting for a while. Good to see you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
All right. We are live over on Wimkin. I'm shutting it down right now. Liv, we should be good. Yes?
Yep.
We're leaving. All right. We got 46 seconds. Good to see everybody here. Damani in the house tonight. I'm going to go ahead and change his background just because we can. We'll put something beautiful in his background here, and then we'll get going. Good show tonight. We got a lot to cover. Good to have Damani back in the house.
It's good to be back.
Thing. Yeah, Bubba. It's going to be a fun night. Let's see. I'm not going to put
you're getting fancy. You're just showing off now, aren't you?
No, we're going to go crazy.
I might blend in with the brick background, though, that's already brown. There's such a thing as too much of a good thing.
I was going to say the same thing. You heard great minds, Bubba. Great minds. Let's see. I'm trying to find a nice background for you.
Let's see.
Let's try that again. All right. We're gonna go back real quick. A couple things is last night we had a troll that came on, and you get a little dumb show background. Look at you. I don't like that.
Love it.
So
I got to rep the brand,
It's not as good as I want it to be. We got to go ahead and give you some love. So I'll find something in between, in between the breaks. So, how about
not that,
Disney?
please, God,
How
no.
about Disney? Is that okay, Disney?
No, sir. No, sir. I will leave right now.
I did that on purpose. I think, you know what? Let's just do, there we go. The Damani Wimkin logo. We're going to find something on break. So I want to address something. Troll came on last night, and people were like, Matt, you seem, this guy was just trolling you, and he kept going on and on and on. Folks, there are times when I have to get emotionally invested to get engaged with a troll. And if I'm just sitting there going, okay, all right, and patient, that's the best way to be. If they can't goad you, if they can't get you into getting out of your element. So Tommy is like, hey, man, I'm sorry. It's your show. I didn't want to step on toes last night, but I came on and I cussed that out. I hated that he was trolling you. This guy has been one of my biggest fans for 4 years, and he has called in relentlessly. I own him. So he has surrendered his free time. He hates me with everything in his being. So mentally, I have dominated this human being. So he's my pet. So I will continue to feed my pet. Folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Done the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We
can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party.
Andy has Benny's phone number. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have Benny's phone number. He's from Canada. Do they even have phones in Canada?
Agree or disagree, start offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, down so what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dude.
That looks good.
Hi, Matthew. It's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you.
You know what,
on
Judge? We
the
love you, but
Don't
we're on a
Unfriend Me
time
show.
crunch. So, hey, thanks so much,
What's
Judge. What's going on, everybody? Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me show. I am proud to announce that the Documents of Freedom are back in stock. It's a 3-book collection, leather bound, by Arcadia Publishing. Starts out with the Bill of Rights, and it's the complete edition of the rights, so you can look up and reference anything your heart desires. Declaration of Independence with revisions and founder images included, beautifully illustrated. And last but not least, what would Documents of Freedom be without the Constitution of the United States of America in its entirety? The box is handmade by PFC Flags, custom engraving, all 100% made in the USA from the nails to the glue. And we have a 5-star rating, satisfaction guaranteed, 150 sold 5 stars or better. It is so important, especially in today's society, to ensure that the younger generation has these books available in the future. Get them for your family and friends, available right now. Head on over to thedumshow.com/books. Thanks so much.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. I had a really good background, but now it's just Damani's head with Damani's head. So it was the other one. We'll find one.
You can never get too much Damani, so there you go.
Oh, I beg to differ.
We'll have to talk to the missus and find out. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We've got everybody in the house. We have Damani, DamaniFelder.com. You can stop on by and say hello. Damani is a good friend of the show, and good to have him back. So welcome back to the Don't Unfriend Me show, my brother.
Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia, thanks so much for having me back. I enjoyed last time's conversation. I cannot wait to see what we get into this time because there is so much to talk about.
Dude, this was like Joe Biden was running for office and Kamala was unheard of, and now, I mean, dude, it's like we've got a lot to go over. Let's start there. Let's start with old Kamala. And what are your thoughts? I mean, you've got to be so excited to have your first Indian and Jamaican representing your blackness, and you got to be really excited. So talk about it. Let me hear what you think.
Oh my gosh, and I can relate to her so much about bathtub collard greens, and the list can go on and on. It's just an amazing time to be alive. Honestly, whenever I think about who's best to lead the country, I always feel it's best to not care about policy at all because policy is boring, right? All we need to care about is how a person looks, right? So it's an amazing time to be alive. I cannot wait to, go to the polls in spite of everything that's been done these last 3.5 years and just vote based off of immutable characteristics. I'm sure that will work out well for me.
I think it has.
Sarcasm.
I don't think that's very sarcastic. I think it's very. I think we should endorse Kamala and see if she wants to go ahead and have you be her next big spokesman and big commercial. Listen, I think that Kamala Harris, her honeymoon's over. I truly believe that. I think this is where the numbers start to tank. CNN has been going after her. The odds are flipping. Now, the Leichtman 13
Alan
keys
Lichtman,
to the no Leichtman is what no Leichtman. He's Lickerman. This guy, we're going to go over that tonight too. And Leeroy brought this to us. Leeroy, explain to us what it is. And I'm sorry, but I got to give Damani the position of honor. I'm going to move you so it's all balanced in the show.
You can put me on the far right. That's not symbolic at all.
It felt a little racist to have him last. And it kind of felt like a Rosa Parks situation, so I wanted to put him in the what?
All right, that's
What?
Here's something else.
Did I say something?
Gosh.
All right. So now that we've established we have equity on our panel and it's very diverse, what do you think, Leeroy? Tell them what it means.
So Alan Lichtman's 13 Keys to the White House is a predictive tool that he says that he developed on his own, and it averages out several different kind of criteria, and one of them is like incumbency, or if there's any hot headlines, if we're in a current war, things like that. And I don't know what the actual algebra is that he uses, but it's a predictor tool, and based off of that, he claims that he has been accurate for the last it was 20 plus years,
40 some odd years. He's only missed it like twice.
Yeah, and so he has like this 100% accuracy rating. And recently, just in the last couple of days, he released his prediction for this year that, in fact, Kamala Harris would win.
Wow, what a stretch doing it 90 days before the election. He really put himself out there, Wow.
Right.
Who wants to, Damani, would you mind doing this with us, and we can kind of do this overall predictive analysis and see what you come up with, and you can tell us, because we know you're going to be unbiased and honest in your assessment of where we're at with Kamala Harris. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I look at these polls all the time, and prognosticators notwithstanding, I just find it very interesting that we're even having this conversation at all. Because as you mentioned earlier in the beginning, last time I was on the show, we had a completely different candidate running for president who was ousted after a thinly veiled coup in order to make way for Kamala Harris. She did not get the bump that she was expecting to get after the DNC, because the DNC, I like to call it more or less just a hate fest. That's all it was. They were so focused on Donald Trump. The Democrat Party, and what's unfortunate, the reality is the Democrat Party doesn't even have to talk about policy to their voters anymore. All they have to do is talk about Trump 24/7. And that seems to be enough, which indicates really the sophomoric mentality that many of their voters truly possess. And they're going to go to the polls and vote because for them, all that matters to them is that Kamala Harris is not Donald Trump. It's the most foolish reason to predicate your vote upon, but this is the reality in which we live. And now that Kamala is going to be forced to actually go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump on a debate, I can only think that her stock politically is going to decrease as a result. We all saw what Donald Trump did to Joe Biden in short order and seemingly without even breaking a sweat. And now we're going to have him go up against Kamala Harris. And we all know that in the last 40 some odd days since she was announced as the next leader of the party, she's done one highly edited interview with CNN. And she looked so weak, pathetic, and diminutive sitting there at that table next to Tim Walz, because apparently, Kamala Harris, she's going to preach this message of being a strong, independent woman who can rise up against adversity. But she has to have what looked like a chaperone sit there next to her during her interview. From an optical perspective, it couldn't have been much worse. But this is where we are.
Support animal.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And we're going to continue to see them pull out every trick up their sleeves as we get closer and closer to Election Day. But a lot of people are starting to wake up to the fact that as untenable as the status quo is right now, under her, it will get exponentially worse. And we obviously can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, we can't. But we're having this conversation with a bunch of people, and they're like, man, what do we do? And stolen vote. And I said, listen to me. It doesn't matter. Vote. Because if we don't do that, none of this is it's going to be for naught. We're going to see 20 to 30 million less votes in this election than we saw in last election. And that right there is going to tell you it's going to open up a can of worms for the Democrats. Is why did we have so many votes? And they're going to have to answer that question. So let's go through the 13 keys of Mr. Alan Lichtman. Lickerman, whatever his name is. Here are the 13 keys. And Damani, we want to get your opinion on this. And we've already done our panel. We did this about 2 months ago. It hasn't changed for Kamala. Party mandate. The first check is after the midterm elections, the incumbent party holds more seats in the U.S. In the House of Representatives than after the previous midterm election. So basically it's saying that Democrats hold the House. The incumbent holds the House. So is that a yes or is that a no? That's a yes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Democrats hold
Just
the
math.
House.
Right.
That's okay. So Democrats hold the House. Now we start getting into objective opinion. And that's important. I'm putting this up in the screen for everybody so they can see it. There is no serious contest for the incumbent party nomination, which means there's not a third party viable candidate going against the Democrats. Is that true or false?
Yes. True.
Yep.
That's true.
I think it's false.
Who?
Why?
Jill Stein. Jill Stein is one of the major reasons that Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. She took 3.5% of the national vote. If that happens again, that's going to crush her. Remember, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were separated by 90,000 votes in 3 states. Jill Stein more than made up for that. So I still believe, even though there's not a viable candidate, I do believe there's a third-party candidate that will siphon votes from Joe Biden because she's certainly not going to take any votes away from Donald Trump. Something to think about. Something to think about. Okay, let's go to the next one, number 3. Damani, did you want to tell me I'm crazy for that or anything?
No, I think that's valid. You have to entertain all eventualities. I'm just not sure, given the nature of this election, I kind of view it as Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton 2.0, only this time they gave Hillary Clinton the Ralph Northam or Justin Trudeau treatment, if you catch my drift. And they're running out the same playbook again. So.
Absolutely, they are. No, you're 100%. I even said, Hillary, if you can make Hillary Clinton look like a moderate, that's terrifying. I mean, that's terrible. Everyone's like, can Hillary run again? Just so, we can actually feel like our entire country is not going to have a yellow star behind a red flag. Incumbency. The incumbent party candidate is the sitting president. That's a no.
No.
That is a no.
Right. So it's really, I
Not
know
yet,
they say,
anyway.
they say yes, but she's the incumbent, but she wasn't elected by the people. And Joe Biden is the sitting president, even though he's not. Vacation in chief, but that's a check mark against him. So now it's 2 against 1 in my opinion. But let's go ahead and keep chalking this up because this is important.
Do you guys think, really quickly, do you think that they're going to remove Joe Biden and install her as president before the election?
Too late for that. They should have done it they should have done it 60 days ago. Like I said, they should have. It's too late now. Now you do it, and it's the word soft coup will become a hard coup.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yep.
Anybody else?
No, I would agree with that. I think that would reek of desperation, as if to say, "Hey, look, she held the office for a month. Oh, she's clearly qualified to do it for the next 4 years."
Right. Yeah. Like I said, that would have had a great aspect because she could have done, well, I've done the job before, but that's when she was going to do press conferences and make herself available. She's not going to. Thank you, Pancakes Bitches, for $10.80. We have a little Dave Chappelle reference. We appreciate it very much. Short-term economy. The economy is not in recession during the election campaign. Now, this is one that Leichman gave to the Biden administration, but I'm here to tell you is I think the average modern-day American disagrees. They don't have to be in a full-blown recession to feel the pain they've been feeling. What do you all think? Do we give this to the Biden administration or do we hit them with it?
No. I think on paper, you have to give it to them if you are looking at numbers and the economic projections and whatnot. I think technically we're not in a recession. However, our inflation is so high, I feel like we're in a recession. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, 25% over the last 19 months. People are like, well, inflation is stagnated. Yeah, but prices haven't gone down. So it's a compounded interest, which means we have to demonstrate a negative inflation, which hasn't happened in the history of the United States. There's always inflation. At least 0.24% is the best we've ever done. So you're never going to lose that. So prices are permanently up 25%. And this is why myself and Leeroy told you we're going to feel this for 25 years. We're not going to feel this for 2.5 years or 2.5 months. It's going to be 2 decades and a half.
It's only
Yeah.
transitory.
Right. I'm sorry. I forgot. I apologize. I don't know what that word means. Damani does, I'm sure. Long-term economy. Let's go ahead and go into this next question. Long-term economy, real per capita economic growth during the term equals or exceeds means growth during the previous 2 terms. Officially, I mean, it's like Obama growth. It's not Donald Trump growth, and it's not Bill Clinton growth. It's just stagnant. And you can give this to them. So let's give it to them. Let's just give it to them. You've had 2 full quarters of economic growth. Fine, we'll give it to you. Next one.
Because of inflation?
Right.
Right. That's the problem. Is when you go ahead and you look at grocery prices, you look at everything, even web hosting on Wix.com. Last year I paid $120. They want to charge me $675 this year, and I'm like, did I just rent an apartment in Seattle? What the hell am I getting for this? I'm like, I parked my domain with you and you want to charge me forget it. Let the domain go by the wayside. Here's the next one. Go ahead.
Let me ask. I just want to throw this to Damani. A couple months ago, we had a show where we're talking about inflation, and in election years, my opinion and Matt's, I think, was similar. I don't think we ever got a conclusion on that. Was that during election cycles, inflation, the actual year, inflation helps the incumbent party because it tends to bump up the stock market. And if you can say, oh, well, the stock market hit record highs, people get that perception in their head that says, oh, the economy is doing great. And it's false. You can have spikes in the economy for one of 2 reasons. It's either inflationary or American companies are actually producing more. In this case, it's inflationary.
Right.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I mean, and the stock market isn't a key indicator because the Democrats went ahead and said that for 4 years when Donald Trump had a record stock market. Even today, with the record stock market numbers we have, Donald Trump still owns for that 4-year period, obviously minus COVID, because I give Joe Biden credit for the first year and a half and give him a pass on some things. He made it worse, but he also was in a COVID time period. Is that Donald Trump had the highest growth in the stock market, almost 17,000. Nobody's even scratched the surface of that. So to sit here and say, well, what I've decided to do is pull back deregulation. I've went ahead and decided to go ahead and increase federal interest rates, and I've slowed down inflation. So therefore now stock market is up. Well, that's a false positive. Because in the end, the bubble has to burst. And when it does, we're all going to be left holding the bag. If people think that Kamala Harris is going to get in and the stock market is going to stay strong, you've got to, you didn't even watch what happened in 2020. Joe Biden went in and like a frickin' brick. Policy change. The incumbent administration affects major changes in national policy. Do you feel the Biden administration affects major changes in national policy? Damani, what do you think?
I think they have. I would argue, whether it's like positive change or not. But yeah, they've changed a lot. And honestly, what they've just done is just reverse the policies of the previous administration. We're getting to this point where in politics, for 4 years, okay, we have team X in charge. And then the next team comes in 4 years later. Okay, we're going to undo all that they did. So it just feels like you're in this perpetual hamster wheel or seesaw of nonsense where nothing can ever get done because you've got these 2 bickering sides that, like children, are just going to say, even if something worked in the prior administration, they're going to say, oh, well, that was their policy. This is my policy. And it's going to be the exact opposite.
Correct. Keith Baker, thanks for donating. Appreciate the comment. Absolutely true. Go ahead, Ames.
I was saying thank you to Keith, but I absolutely agree. I think the current administration obviously has made a ton of changes right now, and they're not great.
Yeah. Well, at least we're hopefully going to have tampons in men's restrooms and boys' restrooms because,
I hope so. If I run out, I want to be able to count on you guys to get my back.
we're married, all 3 of us. We do it all the time anyway. Social unrest. There is no sustained social unrest during the term. He actually said there was no social unrest. I beg to differ.
I disagree with that one.
Beg to differ. Okay, Liv, why do you beg to differ? And then whoever else wants to chime in, please.
Because there's been riots and there's been social unrest, and it hasn't been peaceful. And any riots that have happened, no one's quashed them.
Yeah.
And no one's stopped them, and they've let them go.
Look at the college campuses, right?
I mean, some college campuses didn't have their graduations this year because of the riots and the demonstrations for anti or pro-Palestine
and
or
kidnappings.
whatever.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they took over buildings and kept people from leaving. That's I'm sorry, but that's quintessential kidnapping. I haven't kidnapped anyone lately. I don't know if it's changed in the last 20 years, but it sounds like kidnapping to me. All right. Anybody else on that? No. Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Next.
absolutely. What about Colorado, Chicago? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like every major city and all these sanctuary states are disasters. And I feel bad for the people who live there. I truly do. I can't imagine being a sanctuary anything. I don't know. I might feel very differently if I lived somewhere like that. Thanks.
Babes
Bebo.
Howie. Bebo's
Bebos?
Howie. What?
Bebos?
Great
Yeah.
names.
And
Great names tonight.
You know,
Go
I
ahead.
think that, compared to 2020, it probably does feel like for the average person, oh, it's not nearly as bad as 2020 here in 2024. But the fact remains, it is still bad. And we socially and society has gotten to this point where society has become so accustomed to some degree of outrage, I should say, or protest, that now just because it's seemingly isolated and not as unifying as the George Floyd riots were, now it is subconsciously minimized, I feel like, in the eyes of the average everyday American.
Yeah, it's kind of baked into the pie, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of like
Question
when
for
Democrats don't get their way, they riot. I mean, I hate to say it because that's what happens. And I'm sorry, but it's also effective change. It's effective policy. If it works, no one's telling them no. And that's the point. You've got Democrats that are bailing them out of jail, bailing them out of Colorado, going ahead and empathizing with them, talking through biting the cheek and both sides of their mouth. You look at Maxine Waters and, they're encouraged to riot. They're encouraged to throw temper tantrums to get what they want. So it's kind of baked in the pie now. But the question is, can anyone imagine what 2024 is going to look like on November 6th if Donald Trump wins? Because I promise you, cities will be on fire because they were in 2016. It's crazy. Scandal. The incumbent administration is untainted by major scandal. Lichtman, I can't stand this guy.
I'm going to say no on that one.
No, as in no, there's no scandals, or no, they don't get the check mark.
I don't think they get the check mark for that because I think they've got the scandal with Hunter Biden and the laptop and China and the big guy and cocaine in the White House. Yeah, I can't forget that one.
There was no proof that wasn't Don Jr.'s. Can you believe they tried that? They're like, it was Don Jr.'s cocaine. I'm like, oh yeah, because Don Jr. first of all does cocaine, and the second thing, he was just randomly walking around the White House in Joe Biden's administration. No, he left it there from 2020.
Yeah, and they never
you people
found it.
are idiots. You people are idiots. So scandal, right? I mean, we can't just look at what wasn't proven, but you can look at the Afghanistan withdrawal where there was quid pro quo. This is the interesting thing. Is that with Afghanistan, just that alone, just take that one thing. He told the Afghan premier or Afghan president that he would exfil in a certain way to do exactly what the United States did, or he would pull air support and intelligence from the Afghani president. That's saying, do this or else. That's quid pro quo. How is that any different than Donald Trump saying, you need to investigate corruption or this money that we give you is going to stop? How is one quid pro quo and the other isn't? So this is the constant thing that people are seeing is that there's this double standard.
Well, Joe Biden said it and Trump said it, but it's only quid pro quo when Trump says it. It's not when Biden says it. We all know that.
Right, because he's Hitler, right? I mean,
But
Trump's
man,
Hitler.
Trump is a fascist. He's a fascist.
You're
He's
so right.
orange.
He's the worst.
Oh, and he's a white supremacist as well. Don't forget that.
And being
He is
controlled by the Russians.
anti-Semitic. Yeah, and a Zionist
Yeah,
at the
he's the
same
Russian
time.
puppet.
He's an anti-Semitic Zionist. Isn't that great? I just love how they do this. I'm like, Democrats, pick one, right? It's like Nick Fuentes is up there, and he's like, Donald Trump, he's a Zionist. He's a Zion, he completely is. And I'm like, wow, you've changed your tune, Nikki. Nicholas has decided to dump on Trump, and we'll see how that plays out. Bold move, Cotton. We'll see how it plays out. I hope Trump wins, just so they can rub it in all their faces, because everyone's jumping ship, and I'm laughing at these people. Foreign military failure. Sorry.
I off the top of my head, I have absolutely no idea.
The incumbent administration suffers no major failures in foreign or military affairs. How did this guy pick Biden again?
You picked Biden on that?
Well, he picked Kamala. Yeah. He
Yeah.
picked Kamala. He said there's no major blunders. He's like, although there is conflict, it's not the United States involved in ground war, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead, Leeroy.
Oh, I was just thinking out loud, and I do this when I have a point that comes to mind. I hope at some point that either one of the parties get the idea to take Alan Lichtman's 13 keys and actually create the failures pulled from headlines and run those as political ads. So everything that we're talking about should be front and center for every
Yes.
Republican ad that
It's
is
a great
being run.
idea.
Everything with the C-117 that where everyone's hanging off of it, to the
Yeah.
inflationary numbers, everything, all that should actually be run every day.
You're gonna get mad at me. C-17. It's not a C-117
Air
Star
Force.
Lifter. It was a C-17. I'm just like, okay. Anyway, Intel fight. I mean, this is what dick measuring looks like in the military for Intel guys. Oh no, it wasn't. It was a quadruponic Blaupunk with bare ball bearings. Okay.
You just pulled an Olivia
What?
where you had to correct him in the middle of the conversation.
I
That's
also
what
sleep.
I do.
I also sleep with them too. So
don't
it's
care.
very much like
I don't care.
Foreign military success. The incumbent administration, I can't even say it, achieves major success in foreign or military affairs. Damani, just go ahead and.
If success was failure, and yeah, they get 5 stars from me. But no, that's simply not the case. This is starting to sound more and more just like an alternate reality puff piece. I mean, these people really believe this, and that's the terrifying part of it. Is you've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people across the world who believe all these points we've gone through, and when they've lived through it. That's what I can't understand. You've literally lived through it. The contrast cannot be more clear. You can literally look back 12 months ago and see some of the failures of this administration. But now, just because Kamala Harris is this or that or whatever, everything else magically goes away. That's not the way politics works. And you can't just bury your head in the sand and pretend everything's hunky-dory when it's not.
Yeah, I think you're a communist. So that sounds like fascism to me. I mean, common sense. You need to stop thinking. Seriously. Folks, like, share, and subscribe and follow. It's real simple. If you're watching on Twitter, you're watching on Rumble, you're over on Wimkin, doesn't matter, Facebook, just take a second and hit that love button, hit that thumbs up button, hit that follow button. Stay tuned because we have guys like and girls and everything else that people don't. You can go over to like the Timcast. Come on, our panel's much hotter than Timcast. I'm just saying, especially with Leeroy here.
Especially with Leeroy and Damani here. Yes.
And his
Yeah, they're not as
bald head.
diverse as us. When's the last time Tim has had as much diversity as we have on our panel? So no offense. Listen, Tim's having a bad week. I apologize, Timmy. We're just messing with you. We're going to talk about that too. Incumbent. Jeez Louise, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Incumbent charisma. The incumbent party candidate is charismatic or a national hero.
Yeah, I
Said
forgot to
one of
tell you
them.
that, Biden and Harris are my new heroes. So I just wanted to let you know. They're heroes in my eyes.
How I don't know what
will
he.
say this.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, because I was made aware of this book. I'm not promoting this book. I have not read this book, but I know the basic premise of this book. It's called Hoe Tactics. And
Yes, I've heard about this.
okay, so I found out I've never heard this book. I'm not going to tell you the story, but there are women out there who read this book on how to use their hoe tactics to gain a better position in life, whether that's like a man or a better job. And so I think Kamala could appeal to that demographic of people who read that book and who are about that lifestyle. So she may be a hero to some people. So you might have to give her like a half a point for that. I don't know.
You mean like the cover of the book?
There he
This
is.
Right.
is this it? with
I don't know what the
with-
book looks like. I've never seen it. I won't go into the story. It's way too long. But yeah, I was just made aware of this book earlier this year. That's all I'll say. I had no idea about the book.
Kamala,
Not on
listen.
my reading list.
we saw it when we used to go to the Houston Rockets games. Is that you had all those girls that like the basketball hoes, and they were trying to land LeBron, or maybe not LeBron because he's married, but other people.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Basketball players.
Yeah, okay. But you get my point. And they make a living off of this, man. And this is all over. And that is the I hate to move on, but
You just outed me, Amy. Thanks.
are we saying no on the charisma then? She's not a national hero or charismatic?
I'm thinking so. Yes.
I think they're trying to paint her as such
I
by,
like her
by
laugh.
talking up her prosecutorial record. I think they're trying to play that up.
I love that.
You know?
20 years ago, guess what I did? You put black people in prison for excessive reasons?
Minor drug charges, sure.
Yeah. Congratulations, lady. All right. So listen, we're gonna end this now. But the last one, challenger charisma. Okay, this one's interesting. The challenging party candidate is not charismatic or a national hero. I'm just going to chime in. I think Donald Trump is extremely charismatic to people who are susceptible to his charm. And he is also antithetical to charisma to people who are not susceptible and repulsed by his charm. But I think you have to say any port in the storm here is not for either candidate. I think it's really based upon opinion. If we ask people if Kamala's charismatic, they're going to say she's the most charismatic candidate we've ever had. If we ask Donald Trump fans, they're going to say this. So I think you got to give them a Pasadena here. Anybody want to challenge that or fight that?
No, I agree. So were there references to back up? Like, did they provide evidence for each of these questions? The Lichtman guy, did he?
Oh, he gives perspective. I don't know about evidence. He gives perspective. Listen, this guy does this 90 days before, and ultimately what he does is he looks at current trends just like I do, and he makes predictions. The difference is that I'm usually right, and he's usually right. My predictions that I made in 2020 were very accurate. 2022 were extremely accurate. I think I had like a 98-something%. And I would even give myself 100, but that's a whole nother conversation. But this guy has made a living making predictions and being fairly accurate. But he was wrong in 2016. And I think this race is very much like 2016. There is a shadow element that is not going to say openly that they are Trump supporters because the vitriol and hate is so excessive. People are losing jobs. People are getting doxxed, etc. Damani, what do you think? Is this 2016? You mentioned that. Do you feel it has the same feeling of that? Or do you think this is an all new type of race?
Yeah, it's starting to feel that way. There are people who are afraid to publicly support Trump, and I would argue that reticence has only grown in the last 8 years as the left has gotten increasingly unhinged. There's people who genuinely fear for their lives in certain parts of the country. They feel as if, if they wanted to, they couldn't even put a Trump sign in their front house or their house would get shot up. They couldn't put a Trump flag on their house or someone would, throw a brick through a window. The left has truly revealed their true colors. They are Marxists to the core, cultural Marxists, and they believe in using terroristic violence as a means to a political end. So I would argue that there's a lot more people who have simply chosen to, I say this unfortunately, sometimes cede their First Amendment right to protect all the other rights that they have for just being alive. So I do think there's a hidden element or a hidden cohort of people who are going to show up to the polls to vote that are not adequately being represented or even heard from in the here and now, but they're there. And, there's a reason that there's so many anonymous accounts out there. People are afraid to show their faces, but they will tell you exactly how they feel. And I think you've seen a lot more people who are starting to get more bold, even in the here and now, even willing to put their faces by their names. But even if they aren't, they're there and they're coming in November.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. I think it's a fair assessment that here's what it comes down to. If Christians get out and actually vote, this race is over. That's it. I mean, and then you've got gun owners too. You take those two demographics; they're two of the two of the largest special interest groups in the United States, and predominantly they don't show up and vote. I think Second Amendment voters are done, and I think the abortion Roe v. Wade is going to have an opposite effect that it had in 2022. I think Christians are going to come out because that's what we always see, right? We see a little ebb and flow, and this is why this topic has always remained fairly middle ground for such a long period of time, and where the country is fairly 50-50 on this when it comes to abortion. Now, predominantly abortion from any type of abortion, as long as it's not surpassing that 15-week mark. Most people in the United States agree from life of mother, rape, incest, etc. But what the left want to do is propose and put two people in place who have advocated. Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
advocated
Thank you, Lori.
for up to birth abortions. And even the vernacular has changed. Is now the Democrat Party goes, nobody wants to go ahead and kill babies that are out of the womb. Well, it used to be nobody wanted to kill babies past the first trimester. Then it was the second. Now it's the third. And now it's up to birth. So all they're going to do is continue to move the goalposts like they did with the LGBTQ movement and everything else, is just take until the crazy seems normal. And we know that's going to take place. Go ahead,
Real
Larry.
quick, if anybody wants to look up, there is an abortion access map in the United States, and it's a post Dobbs decision map, and it's as of like June of this year. Each state is represented to say
Where's the
to
URL?
what number of weeks. Source is Gut. Oh God, I can't even say that. Guttmacher Institute.
Yep.
It shows.
Excuse me,
can
I'm not
send it
up.
to you.
I'm not up on my Nazi. Can you spell that out, please? Is it
G-
Guttmacher? It's
Guttmacher.
What is
it?
Guttmacher.
Yep.
Guttmacher.
And this is one of those things that shows how each state breaks out how they interpret, their laws. And that's the great thing. Like, Democrats are basically saying if the Republicans get in office, there will be a nationwide abortion ban. That's what Trump wants. That's what the Republicans want. And in the meantime, because it's been rolled back to the states, here's a map that shows, oh no, you can do whatever your state goes by, obviously. But it's the states that are in control of this. And I really think that's one of those issues. They're trying to use this as an issue to get people to come out and to vote. Right? It's one of those hot button issues. And if we would get out in front of that and say, oh, well, your state, if Tennessee has a up to 6 week, oh no, they have a near total ban, but that's their decision. Ohio, between 20 and 26 weeks. All right. My state chose. I just wish we could get out.
I'm pulling it up.
topic.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm pulling it up right now. I did not create this cell, so it's a little bit okay. So this is showing abortion access. Guttmacher, G-U-T-T, or Gut, is it Gut or Gut? It's not German.
Guttmacher Institute.
Outstanding. A whole bunch of information. Talks about protective rights, most protective. The color scenario isn't on here because it's Chrome. But an interesting thing, you can actually choose the state and see. Once again, it goes back to the 10th Amendment. It goes back to states' rights.
Exactly.
And protecting states' rights. So you can't sit here and claim that you can't sit here and claim that the abortion law is
Adjusting transmitter output.
Sorry, guys. One second.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt.
This happened last night too. Sorry, Damani. It's amateur hour over here, buddy. And you can vape anytime you want. We don't care.
Perfect.
Let me see if
Good
I
eye.
can get him back. I see everything except how to do a show properly.
I think they'd rather see two of her than one of me. So, you can leave it if you want.
Hey. He gets someone give him a thumbs up on that. That was smooth. Beebs donated. Thank you, Beebs. Here's the thing that I'll say is that when you look at the abortion overall stance of the country, it's very similar to something like marijuana. Is the reason why we have federal law is the framers wanted to ensure that the Constitution made it very difficult to institute constitutional amendments. But even more so, they wanted it even more difficult to remove a constitutional amendment. This is why it takes 2/3 to propose and pass, and it takes a 3/4 to remove. Until the states all agree and you have a unified support that achieves that 2/3 majority of states, you'll never see these things be codified. So when it comes to abortion, it has to move the needle for all these different states, and the country doesn't want to do that. Legalization of marijuana is closer than it's ever been to be codified into a constitutional amendment because more and more states are embracing it. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing for the state, and it still may not pass on a national level. People think that abortion, that Kamala Harris is just going to come in, snap her fingers, and write an amendment that's going to make it universally legal across all the states. That's not the way this works. And it won't happen. And she's not going to be able to write something and pass something like that to make it happen.
She can't come out and use an executive order for it, can she?
Sure, she can, and it'll be knocked down. But the Supreme Court will do emergency session, and they'll crush it. They've already decided on this. Does anyone disagree or see something different? Do we believe that Kamala Harris, unless they stack, now this is why we can't have them stack the court, because once they stack the court, once they make Washington D.C. a state, once they go ahead and give it to the U.S. Virgin Islands and Guam, you're going to have more senators. You're going to be able to go ahead and destroy the filibuster, and you're going to be able to stack the courts, and then the protections that are in place for and the dualities that are taking place to go ahead and stop different branches of government from having too much power, those powers ultimately become negated by them stacking the courts and having a politicized court. So, if you want the Constitution torn apart, just listen to them. They're telling you what they're going to do. This has been the playbook: is destroy the filibuster, expand the House, expand the Senate, create Washington D.C. as a state, which it never should be. It's a district. It was never designed to be a state. These things are what we're going to get. So just listen to them. And this is Kamala Harris. Now, she can sit here and say that she's changed her colors, but she hasn't. I want to show you guys. Thank you for linking that site, Leeroy. It's interesting. I had never heard of it, and that shames me because usually I'm on top of stuff like that. So thanks for showing me. Does everyone know who J.P. Spears is?
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember redhead, political commentator? Started off with vegan.
Him live once before he was famous. Before he was famous, I saw him live. He was in either Arlington or somewhere near DC.
How was he? Was he good?
So this is before he was famous, and I was like, "This is one of the worst comedy shows I've ever seen." But that was before he was famous. We found some humor in it, but like we were in a very non-conservative area, so like the audience vibe. What are you trying to say?
Can we dive into that? What do you mean? I don't understand. Can you explain that?
There's a bunch of liberals, like very far left people.
I got it.
Theater,
so the whole place smelled like patchouli and Birkenstock.
Exactly.
And Birkenstock. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Which is weird because like all of us that went was a bunch of us, and we were all very conservative people. So it was just we enjoyed it. There was some like funny things, but again, this is like years ago before he was famous. It's like, hey, he was like an underground cool comedy comedian at the time, and we liked his comedy online. And then we went to see him. We're like, that was really bad. But like, I love him. I do. I love him.
It doesn't sound like you love him.
No, that show was awful. But I do love I love him. I love his show. I'm a subscriber to his channel. I love him. I think he's great.
Well, I happen to have the interview that we all had a chance to see with Kamala Harris and her emotional support animal that Damani mentioned, and I'm going to borrow from Mr. J.P. Spears and give him credit. If you do not follow him on Twitter, please do. This is his video. I'm going to use this as fair use. And if he wants to take monetization, he certainly can, because he earns it, because the man's a genius. And you listen, I'm a funny guy, but I do not have that funny that he has. This is incredible. Like, this is shut up, Leeroy. This is it's a once in a lifetime talent. Leeroy's over there going, meh, you're mid. Shut it. Knock it off. I am funny. Damn it. I'll tell you I'm funny, and you got to agree with me. All right. So here we go. Let's watch this. Once again, I will fix your background. This is absolutely, this is a barn burner. Enjoy. Maybe.
Sound.
I'm working on it. I don't know why I'm not getting sound. Hold on.
What?
Weird. Hold on. Let's try this again. Oh, I know why. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again.
Recognize the problem.
There it is.
Fair enough.
Liv.
Okay.
I know you're
drunk right now.
I know you're texting.
You're drunk right.
I know you're texting, Liv, and you got to watch this. One's hilarious. Folks, real quick, linktapgo.com/thedumshow. I want to let you guys know you guys did a great thing for Damani last month and raised when he was unfortunately forced from his house because of the hurricane. I know Damani received that. I gave him $20, so he's very happy of all the money you guys gave. I had to go ahead and tax it a little bit. I'm sorry, but we appreciate it. You guys take care of us. I do want to talk about a few things about donations and product placement, and this is a really big thing because I watch your show, Damani, and I know how you feel about Davis Harris Jr. and other people. I want to really talk to you about these type of things, and I want to get your perspective. So we will talk about that, but I wanted to remind you, if you are interested in supporting the show, you guys can do that by going to linktapgo.com/thedumshow. We would greatly appreciate any help you can provide. Please take care of your family, your friends, take care of back to school, all of that. And if you've done all those things and you say, hey, you know what, we want to go ahead and help the Dumb Show, we would be appreciative. Let's go ahead and watch this and try not to laugh, piss ourselves.
You're drunk right now.
And that's not going to change.
You kind of have a drinking problem.
I recognize the problem.
Well, fair enough. Okay, we're live. Kamala Harris, welcome. And I see you brought your emotional support dog with you today, which is great. Before I came in, your campaign staff out there gave me this list of really great softball questions that I'm allowed to ask. Help stay true to the spirit of journalism, so thanks for that. But I might stray from the list just a tiny little bit. Now, I think you'd agree this is an intense election. Like recently, your political opponent, President Trump, was almost assassinated. And I am sure y'all at the White House are working tirelessly to find out who orchestrated this whole thing. Y'all have any leads about who did it?
We did it.
What? Who did?
Joe Biden and I, to be honest.
Really? He was shot.
I'll say that that's good work.
Oh, that's... wow, I can't believe it. Do you feel any remorse?
No, not at all.
Oh.
There's more to do, but that's good work.
Wait, so you would try it again?
Yes, I would.
Seriously?
I would. I think...
Well, obviously, the guy you used on the first try wasn't successful. So who would you use on the next attempt?
No one in particular.
But I'm sure you've discussed who it might be. Did you talk to Hillary? Does she have anything to say about it?
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot.
Of course she did. When did you talk to her?
It was a Sunday.
Good God, that's even more demonic. Tim, are you on board with all this?
I think people know who I am.
Yeah, they do. You guys could go to prison for this.
Next question, please.
No, seriously, this is a major crime. This is a big deal. One more question on this, please. All right, your resting bitch face tells me you really want to move on, so we shall. Let's talk about moving forward. You make a lot of great promises about what you'll do if you get into office. But you've been in office for almost 4 years, and most things have objectively gotten much worse. The border, crime, inflation, it's pretty bad. How could you let this happen?
In large part, all of that because of mismanagement.
Yeah, I guess that would be it.
That is the reality of it, and 4 years of being vice president.
But I'd like to imagine how you will do things has no correlation to how you've always done things. So if you do win this definitely not rigged election, what would you do specifically to fix all the problems in our country?
Let me be very clear.
Mm-hmm.
When we do what we have done, I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do and how it does so matters. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. But I will say this. So I'm very clear about where I stand. My values have not changed. I kept my word and I will keep my word. When we do what we did, which is part of the American dream.
It sounds like a very well thought out strategy. If you win, will that be like a bill you sign or something?
I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Very good. Now that we clearly understand how exactly you'll turn the country around. Tim, I forgot you were alive over there, buddy. As governor, the accomplishment you're most known for is getting tampons into all the boys' restrooms in schools.
We did it in Minnesota.
You sure did. And you did it when nobody else wanted to. People were saying things like, it's unnecessary or it's a stupid idea. But you knew the importance of it. And presumably, this came from your positive exposure to tampons during your formative years as a boy. What did it mean to you? when you put your first tampon in?
It was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it.
I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative.
Yes, I think we're all touched by Tim's bravery around tampons. But now let's close with some rapid fire questions. Kamala, who's the biggest dipshit you've ever known?
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, no, I meant the biggest dipshit you've ever known, aside from yourself.
I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now.
Right. Now, you've known the Obamas for a while now. Did Michael confide in you when he wanted to transition to being a Michelle?
And the phone rang, and he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?"
What'd he say?
And he said, "Yes."
Fantastic. Now, Madam Vice President, on the monitor, you can see you in the process of sleeping your way to the top by way of a photograph of you with Montel Williams and another side girl. Have you seen this photograph before?
But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it.
The left criticizes Trump for sleeping with side girls, but you are a side girl running for the same presidency. How does that feel?
It's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
Do you have any morals?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Fair enough. Kamala and Tim, you both come across so well on camera. Fantastic, actually. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and just be so interesting.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank
us.
you, Dana. Thank you.
What? Tim Waltz is thanking me? What an honor.
This is great.
You know what, Tim? You're welcome. And thank you for all your service overseas.
Wow.
Reactions. Is it okay? Is it political fun? Is it, I don't know, you call someone a Nazi, orange man, orangutan, fascist, deplorable, xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic. You're mean. You say he poops his diaper and all this. They've been ringing Trump. They've severed his head. They've talked about assassination, blowing up the White House, killing his kids, killing his wife's a whore. They have done the worst. What is this? Is this the same, or is this funny, or what is it? Opinions.
Freaking hilarious. I think
Damani,
it's great.
want to hear this?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I had a. Go ahead.
No, Damani, go.
No, I had a foray into the funnier side of myself. I don't make as many funny videos as I used to anymore, but that was top tier. I have to tip my hat to him. He's good at what he does. And I think there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of levity in these difficult times. It's pretty much all that you can do in this day and age. You know, the worst thing about it is people are starting to try to police what comedy is anymore. There's some things that are supposed to be off limits. Comedy should have no holds barred. And I do believe that, content like that, it might be instrumental in, giving someone just enough of a break from the visceral, vitriolic nature of political discourse to realize what's really going on and present it to them in a way that they're going to be willing to at least entertain in the first place.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. SNL was 10 times more abrasive and ran with lies. And listen, I think JP is a talent. It's at Awaken with JP. It's very important to me to give credit to content creators, right, Benny? And we wanted to make sure that we did that and we're as nice as possible. He's a great guy. Go watch him. It's not like he doesn't have 20 million followers anyway, so make sure you go give him more. Liv, did you want to finish up your thought about that? And then Leeroy?
Oh, I just thought it was funny. I've loved him since I saw the vegan one. Because it reminded me of my sister.
The vegan
I love
one's
my
so
sister,
great.
But everything was just her. It was funny.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fantastic. I mean, why? I agree with you, Damani. Why can't comedy be funny still? Why does everything have to be so darn serious?
Yeah. Well,
We need a little bright and light
it's not
in our
very,
lives
not
right
very
now.
inclusive, though. Listen, if we can't laugh, I mean, seriously, I made a Rosa Parks joke. Is it too soon? Probably, but who cares? If we can't joke around, if we can't laugh, especially at ourselves, then it's what's the point, right? Exactly. I mean, we're just a floating rock that let's bring the asteroid in. But there was a time when we could use humor. There was an interesting clip that I was watching today, and it was about Richard Pryor. And yeah, there's still do. And Richard Pryor went up on stage. God, I hope it's Richard Pryor. Hold on. Maybe it wasn't Richard Pryor.
Uh-oh.
Damn it. Okay.
What was the
we're
act?
We're going to go. Okay, so here's the act, and you guys can correct me. But he basically walked out on stage and he started talking about God. And he pretended to be God. And walked out, and in this comedy club, pointed out to the crowd and said, I'm God, I'm your Lord and Savior. And then ultimately said, I'm here to see my son. What have you done with him? And everybody's like, what? They're like, where's Jesus? Can you guys walk me through this? Where are my disciples? Where's Martin Luther King? I want to talk to Martin. Where's John F. Kennedy? Can you grab him? What about Abraham Lincoln? And he started, just pretending to be God and saying, where are the people who I've sent you to bring you together? And, they were either assassinated or, obviously we won't know. And people are in the theater and they're crying. And it was a visceral type thing. And I can't, I may not have been
Richard Pryor. Everyone's saying it was.
Okay. So it was Richard Pryor. And there's this, I can't even remember who was talking about it, but I was watching this video and I'm like, this is a comedian who took something so profound and made people feel something cathartic when they were there to laugh, and they wound up crying and feeling horrible, but getting the message. Humor can do the same thing. And when people cross those lines of staying in their lane, which I hate that saying, I can't stand that, stay in your lane. It just makes people just so small. And it just devalues what they have to say. I believe that we can finally kind of crack this code when we can realize that humor can teach us something profound, and religion can teach us something profound, but it doesn't have to be delivered in a sermon to be impactful. And that's what I thought of when I thought of the JP Spears video. And I went over my minute. Anybody else?
Yeah, real quick. The thing that I absolutely love about his bits and any comedy, really, and it doesn't matter who it's against, because to your point, nothing should be sacred. There are no sacred cows in comedy. And when we start thinking about the political division that's happening in the country, if it's from the left, generally speaking, right, it's a lot of vitriol. Oh, orange man. Oh, racist, homophobic, xenophobic, misogynist, blah, blah, blah. They have a flow chart. And if it's from the right, if you go too far on the right, then it turns into this, oh, well, Lovey, if you look at 1955, and people fall asleep at that shit when you start pulling facts out of it. So what's the one thing that gets people engaged that we have in common? Comedy. And I love that it's supposed to be something that can bring everyone together.
Yeah. Yeah. You go look up the Richard Pryor thing. It was just an amazing testament. And it was somebody who was back there in that day and just recanting the story. And it was very emotional when I was listening to it. I was like, I couldn't imagine, I can't imagine going to a Def Leppard concert and, and hearing, Paganini. Yeah. It's just something you wouldn't anticipate. Okay. So now that we've done that, not Leeroy, but sorry, Damani, I wanted to ask you a question in regards to being a social media influencer. You have a huge following, and you may not feel that, but when I first saw you, I was like, wow, this guy's funnier than hell, but he's also got an extreme ability to be a pretty impactful wordsmith. I know you have some opinions on, people pushing product onto their people, or, talking about My Pillow, or doing things like that. Now, we sell t-shirts here, and we usually, we talk about donations at the top of the hour. We do a little self-promotion here as well. I don't think you're against that, but walk me through selling your soul to your audience, and I would like to get your opinion on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely all for capitalism. I believe that is important. That's what's made America the shining light on the hill, if you will. The bone that I've had to pick with, particularly the extremely large influencers out there, is there seems to be a priority or an emphasis, particularly around the years 2019 through 2023, if memory serves me correctly, where it seemed that they were more concerned with making sure that they sold this product or that product, regardless of how beneficial it was. But worse, not even disclosing if they're being paid to promote something, because particularly the reason I had an issue with that is because of how terrible things have been for the average person these past several years. And I do find it to be slightly distasteful when you do have these, large influencers. I'm talking about people who have, 750,000 or a million or so on and so forth. And, they're already pulling in, probably well over six figures, much over.
Oh,
six
you mean
figures,
like
sometimes
400,000 a
figures.
month? 400,000
Yeah.
a month?
But still, it's like they can't stop, and it's like, oh, buy this, buy that, but buy this at link in my bio. And it's like, when's the last time I haven't seen you out, creating anything original? You're getting paid by sharing the content of other individuals who do work hard, which is why I give you props, Matt, and the whole crew for, giving credit where it's due. That's important. But there are individuals out there who do seem to have traded their convictions for currency. And that's something that I have a huge issue with, because if you are truly in this for the right reasons, you'll do it for free. I have t-shirts that I've made a couple years ago. I do accept donations from people when they give, and thank you to everybody out there who's watching who was able to help me and my family in our time of need. But that's not my goal. I never lead with that. And I feel that some people in our movement have realized just how much money you can make by selling anything and everything, that they've lost their way. And you won't see them at local protests. You won't see them at school board meetings. You won't see them out and about engaged in the local community, but they're the first ones who are, flying first class to Mar-a-Lago or whatnot to have another photo op with Trump, which is great. Good for you. But that's not going to change anything for the better, particularly on the local level. And it becomes a pursuit of self-gratification more than actual preservation of our values and the things that actually matter. So I could talk about that all day long, but that's the short version of what my philosophy and stance really is.
I can't tell you
what he just said
in 1 second after this commercial.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Matthew Spear from the Don't
just
Unfriend Me
kidding.
Show. It's a little joke, little humor. Come on, we gotta laugh at ourselves, right? It's what drew me to you, and quickly, Leeroy. I'm just gonna take 30-second segue. I remember there was a particular person that you mentioned, and I'm not here to throw anyone under the bus, who actually worked with the company that I just fled from. Where I was lucky enough to recognize some of the things that I did not like the way that this publisher was representing us. And I had a chance to flee. And this is someone who you've mentioned who used to work for them. And I remember a conversation where they're like, well, this person left, but I kind of built him. And I'm like, well, that person's morals and ethics aren't really up there. And I know I'm speaking in doing the pronoun game, but I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. It just came down to me is that you have to have some sort of integrity in this business, because if people can't trust you when it comes to, selling them product or endorsing something that you don't necessarily believe in, how are they going to listen to you every day when it comes to analyzing and having predictive analysis on what's actually going on versus just another shill who is regurgitating what the media is talking about or what the DNC or RNC wants to pay for? Leeroy, go ahead. And Damani, you put it perfect. If it's okay, I'm going to clip that because I think it really sums up what I wanted to hear from you. So thank you so much for saying that. Leeroy, go ahead.
When you take what Damani said and you play that forward, that's how you end up with all of the major media outlets that we have and how they play to specific demographics. That's how you get the NBCs and the ABCs and Fox and Newsmax and everything else, right? Play what Damani said forward in terms of news headlines. And what you find is that it's no longer about their morals or ethics. It's which companies can get to that front page headline, even if it might be maybe moderately false or maybe even some truth. Who knows? We're willing to throw a dart at the dartboard and just see
Yeah.
what happens, so long as people tune in. And that's exactly what Damani's talking about.
It's interesting because I look at the panel here and I look at Amy, I look at Leeroy, who before they made one nickel on this show, invested into the show. I mean, I'm like, you guys can get T-shirts. I'll give them to you. No, we'll just buy them. You get it. They go to a good cause. You donate money to charity.
Yeah.
To me, that dignifies and signifies what we should have in this, because it sets us apart from the media. A lot of people don't understand. 1 2-minute block of commercials on Fox News, they generate about $1.2 million in ad revenue. That's an incredible number. And can you imagine if Facebook and other platforms stopped censoring and shutting people down, that it would really just kind of let the cream rise to the top? And what frustrates me about the censorship that we have in this business is it's not a level playing field. And the best don't get seen because it's not a free market of idea. It literally is the people who are getting $400,000 who can buy $20,000 in advertisement to get force ranked to be shown your feed. And it's honestly, it's a pay to win. And, you know, it's frustrating and it's a lot of hard work. So people like Damani, I'll throw myself and everybody on this panel. We work hard to be seen, and the people who do, we appreciate you. And we certainly are never going to recommend a product that we don't believe in. And this is why I love Wimkin. And I love what they do for us and the amount of honor and integrity. I mean, Jason is working day and night for this fentanyl test, and Donald Trump, Secret Service is now literally going through their building to make sure it's 100% safe for Donald Trump to appear and push this fentanyl test forward. He was on CNN today, and this guy deserves his success. He has been labeled something that he's not. He protected people on Wimkin and did not give it over to the J6 committee because he said, I'm not selling or delivering my user content. It's their privacy. I will not bend. And it cost him. To me, that's integrity. So let's crack the nut. Let's get into why we're talking about this. We had 6 personalities, and 3 of them I follow religiously. And Tenet Media out of Tennessee, from the old RT website, which was Russian news, and people used to link it all the time. And I'm like, you guys understand this is a Ruski site, right? Leeroy and I know all about this in his current and my former life. And they were providing almost $10 million in a 2-year contract to Tenet Media, who then took that money and provided it to social media influencers for content like civil unrest content, stories about Ukraine, stories about Russia, stories about the stolen election. And these people combined have a network of almost 100 million. I mean, this is an incredible amount of influence. And I wrote an article on this over at the DUM News. You could read it. And I defended these social media influencers for a spite for a time, because I believe that there's 2 sides to this story and we have to wait for the dust to settle. But it's clear that this indictment does not name them specifically, but they've now taken ownership to say we are influencer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and here's our statement on it, so we can talk about it. Damani, I want to start with you, and I want you to be as raw as you can be. And I understand you have your own channel to protect and your own brand to protect, but I want to get your opinion if you're comfortable talking about it. And what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I always like to take the approach, particularly when a news story like this breaks, I don't rush to be the first person to share my thoughts on it, because there's indeed 2 sides to every story. There are potentially mitigating circumstances and potential rationale. There could have been, misleading statements that were given to them as far as where this money is coming from. But the fact really remains, money really is the root of all evil. That's why, it's nice to earn it and receive it from your efforts on social media when it happens. but that can never be the only impetus behind why you do what you do. Because if you are going to be easily swayed by financial incentives, then essentially you forfeit the appearance of having any sort of integrity whatsoever. So then people are going to call into question, well, why can I believe this person if they're willing to take money from other sources that potentially don't have America's best interests at heart? Now, I'm not sure exactly what more information is going to reveal, but I do know that it's incredibly tempting. I'll also put it this way. I know y'all have had opportunities yourselves. I've had opportunities myself where people reach out, hey, would you do this for us? I'll give you this money. And the answer,
Right.
99.9% of the time, is no.
No.
Like, I'm not just going to you can't buy me. You know, we talk about your politicians all the time who are beholden to special interests and lobbyists. The same rationale and methodology applies to social media influencers. Some influencers can be bought. And it's yet to be seen who those influencers are and if how knowledgeable they were about the extent to which they were being bought. But if that is your primary motivator, and then you'll jump at anything and you'll fall for everything as a result.
That's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt waiting to happen. I thought the off-putting one is, somebody said I was off-putting. You saw my comment and you loved it. I went over to Damani's page and I said, somebody called me off-putting tonight. And hold me.
That was me.
And I'm gonna.
That was me.
So I'm gonna make it off and then put a pudding, Jello pudding cup on it. Who else? I mean, I know everyone here probably has an opinion on this. I want to Russian money, by the way. $10 million to influence. I've listened to Tim Pool.
Yeah.
The guy said Civil War like 172 times last year. To me, there's some things that he does, but I also have to look at him as a whole. And I have to believe, and knowing what it's like, Damani and I know what it's like, that sometimes you'll go with a company and a third party will come in. We don't know where that money's coming from. We don't have that behind the scenes. This is the internet, folks. But this amount of money, if you're making $400,000 a week, you gotta know it's coming from somewhere. And why is it coming to me to do a video once or twice a week? There's an issue here. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead, Leeroy, Amy, who wants to go? Go.
Real quick, first of all, because it addresses this exact point, everything that Damani just said. For the people that are watching this show, I have been trying to get Damani on the show for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I reached out to his brother Trey at one point, and I was like, "Hey, you're the brother. I love the show. Huge follower, big fan. Do you think he might like to come on?" And so there was a little bit of a apprehension. Warranted. Absolutely. Look at Matt. I mean, I don't trust him.
Yeah, I think his reply was, "Matt's a dick. I'm not coming on." And something like that.
And so to Damani's point, he's very careful about who he aligns with. And I think everybody should be, to the point of RT. RT, for those who don't know, stands for Russia Today. And what it does, it's a media company, not unlike NBC or CBS, but because it's owned by Russian state media, they suppress certain stories that don't fall favorably to the Russian view, and then they push everything that they think can work to their advantage. The fact that these right-leaning podcasters were taking money from there, I'm not sold on the fact that there was any sort of nefarious intent, and I don't think anybody here is saying that. But everybody should be a little more cautious, like Damani, to say, all right, look, I don't know you yet. Why don't we have a couple of conversations? Let's, really start to get to know each other. Make sure that there's no, how can I put this? There's no skeletons in anybody's closet that would come out later that would, diminish my reputation or Matt's, or Damani's, or Amy, or Olivia. I think people need to be more cautious with that.
When you claim that you're an independent journalist, you better be independent with your opinions. Mm-hmm. And if people are prescribing you an opinion, this is the one thing why I could sit there and let a troll go on for 27 minutes last night and tear me down for my height and my tattoos, is it doesn't affect me. They don't know me. They don't know anything about me. They don't know. You're stealing from your listeners. You can say what they already know, by the way. So he started, trying to release things on me like, oh, so you do make extra income off your shirts. You do make extra income off this, or you do make money from it. And I'm like, yeah. And they all know it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell them. They already know, because I'm one of the most honest people with my listeners. I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner. I make mistakes, all of those things. But what I'm not going to do is sell my soul. I will not do it. I will not sell my integrity. This show is 100% autonomous. And the reason why it is because we made it that way. And that means we won't get all the, thank you, Vicky. We won't get all the viewers that we want. We won't get millions of people because we say things that make people uncomfortable sometimes. When we talk about the election, we're not going to sit here. We know what you want to hear. It's stolen. Democrats are evil. They're all satanic. And that's what you hear everywhere else. What we're going to try to do is bring you a perspective of why there's a different viewpoint. And if we don't do that, then why are we here? We're not independent. We become just like the media. We're paid shills. Amy, Olivia, any thoughts on this?
I got a thought.
Okay.
You definitely have integrity, and it's been almost 4 years since we've started the show, and you definitely have never sold out. And I can tell you that we've had 2 people who've come in to our inner circle of the show.
Oh, more than that.
And both people that I know of have tried to tell us we need to change, that we need to do certain things, that we need to not have so much banter at the beginning of the show and just get right to it. Nothing. And other things. And one of the suggestions I was not too keen on. And the suggestion was Amy and Leeroy need to go.
Yeah.
Amy and Leeroy have no value to the show.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone that I know of and everyone that I talk to and get their opinions, they don't like Amy and Leeroy. And the only way you're going to grow is if they go.
Thank you, Patsy.
That person is no longer part of our network.
And never will be.
And never will be again. And poof, when we didn't make the changes they want, they're gone.
But they were gone anyway.
Gone anyway.
I diminished their role. I made them insignificant on the show.
And then most recently, I think everyone knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
For 6 months, it was gradual stuff. Like I said, you need to change this. You need to change that. Your format needs to be different. This needs to happen. And when we don't make those changes that they want because they think it's going to make it better, but this is our show. It's not theirs. And they don't get to tell us what to do. It doesn't matter what role you think you are or how much money you think you're going to pay us. It's not your show. And every time someone has come in and told us to change it and we don't, they have poofed and left.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And listen, constructive feedback that's the key to growth. Being uncomfortable. I love feedback. Like somebody said I was off-putting. I can be. That's not, I mean, it's kind of the worst kept secret in the business. I am off-putting because I don't have a filter not to say what I'm thinking. And I just don't. I don't have it. I've never had it. And how I am here is how I am in real life. Damani's the same way. I know that. I don't need to know anything else about Damani except how his brother speaks about him. And I knew that he was a great dude. I just knew it. And
well, I appreciate that, but that's the beauty of independence. You draw parallels between the experiences y'all have gone through and the experiences that Donald Trump goes through. The reason people don't like him, or the reason that people constantly try to stab him in the back, is because he's one of the few people left in the realm of politics that cannot be controlled, cannot be bought, and cannot be influenced. The same applies to this show. So anyone who would attempt to change what y'all are doing is going to hit that brick wall every time, because it is your show, because this is your brainchild. You've invested yourselves into this, and you have such integrity that you cannot exchange all of that hard work for a quick, easy payday. And that in itself is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man. I love having you here. I really do. Amy, thank you for the donation. Amy, go ahead. You got something, and then we can, and by the way, that conversation went like this. Well, I appreciate your opinion, but your opinion doesn't matter. You know what? If I can sit in an executive boardroom and tell that to a vice president or a CEO or a CFO, which I've done, when they want to release mobile and not put up security gates and not have resource officers there or off-duty cops to protect my kids when they're going to peddle phones and get their asses kicked from thugs who are going to come in and literally take over the store and put 5 rounds into 5 different people, which happened in New Mexico. No, you hired me to tell you the God's honest truth. And if you do this, I'm going to quit, and I'm taking every one of these store managers with me. So you get to decide. I can end your career right now. Think about this. Think about your stock. Think about your family. Why are you threatening me? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Because principle is not for sale. And it can't be. It can't be, because that is, listen, there's a couple things in the Bible, whether you haven't actually read it, you have, and and you've heard it. The one thing is Christianity is about love. And it's the only religion on the planet which number one focus is love. But there's also some basic human qualities and expectations that the good Lord has for us. And if we don't do our best, you don't have to achieve it. You're a sinner. You're going to make mistakes. But if you're not trying to better yourself, if you're not trying to lead with integrity and trying to improve who you are and impact the people around you for a more positive experience in life, then you are a detriment. And that is the worst thing you can be, is toxic. I don't know. I'm not here to preach. I think there's a level of integrity that's needed. So when I hear Tim Pool and I hear Dave Rubin and I hear about Benny Johnson, I have went after Benny plenty of times, but he is a sensationalist. He is a gotcha headlines guy, and he makes his money off being the National Enquirer. But I'll tell you what, I don't think he's a Russian asset. I've listened to his show. That guy has never pushed Russian media in his life. Tim has. Benny hasn't. Dave Rubin hasn't, that I know of. Anybody else?
I just want to chime in really quickly. A couple things here. One, I thank you for not kicking us off, by the way. I appreciate that.
Please.
Number one. Two, as somebody who I think we all have struggled with making right decisions, and sometimes it's an easy one, sometimes it's not. I always try to make sure I'm on the right side. I'm on God's side, not like what I want. Is this what God wants me to do with my life? I try to live that way. Do I succeed 100% of the time? No. But I do strive for that. And I think all of the people on this panel, I think we can all count on each other for that.
Yeah.
I think we have all had each other's backs in one way, shape, form, or another. And there's some things that we all are aware of that none of our viewership is aware of. And I hope that you guys know, like, anyone, and even our viewers, if you truly need something, I think most of us will be here for you if we can, whatever that is. We are giving people, and that's just how we inherently are, all of us here. Yeah. Last thing, I don't know what year it was, but we did a show. Do you remember the Russian show we did? And didn't we name like 10 things we liked about Putin or something? It was like a comedy. It was a spoof.
Yeah. And then that guy came on, that Russian sympathizer, and he wanted to debate me about Putin. And I'm like, dude, do you know what I did for a living? Yes, I would love to debate you about Putin. Yeah. Please.
It just reminded me of that. Like, we're talking about like all this Russian stuff and like how, well, they're colluding. Well, we could be accused of that as well, I'm sure, just from that one show. And I even said like, oh, this will be the only time we are popular. Like, Putin's like promoting us in Russia. Like, we're going to see our ratings go up there.
And
like,
it was funny.
So
like,
funny.
Like if you want an endless ski trip to Siberia, it was stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just trying to be humorous. But yeah, I remember that. That was good. Yeah. That was a funny skit. Well, I just had some announcements to make. Leeroy and Amy are no longer on the show, so they're gone, and they will remain gone. So you guys are an anchor, and you're bringing us down. Damani, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. You're now a partner and owner.
Everyone's got their number, right? Like, if it's like, hey, we're going to give you $10 billion if you kick off Leeroy and Amy, I'd be like, you know what, guys? I love you. I think you should take that money.
I would absolutely fire you. I would get my year salary. I would get my 10 million, and then I would quit. And I just go and pee on somebody's desk or something, and then go ahead and rehire you and create our own show. I would Robin Quivers the situation like Howard Stern did. He's like, dude, I'm going to get in the door and I'm going to bring you with me. Just wait. I want to be clear. Tim Pool lives. I could throw a rock at his house. I've never met Tim Pool. I didn't say that Tim Pool was guilty. I said that he has pushed anti-Ukraine and anti-Russian stuff. The guy has said, I effing hate Putin multiple times, but he's also said, just because I hate Putin doesn't mean I love Ukraine. And I don't love the 200 billion. So I don't have any problem. He has an open forum of discussion. And to say that just because he doesn't agree or you don't agree with him, that all of a sudden he's a Russian asset, it is an asinine thing. And I think it trivializes the people who truly are pushing propaganda, that we're not calling them out, but we're going to go after independent journalists. So here's my take. Prove it. Show me the facts, and then I will go ahead and rail against them all day long. But until you do that, this indictment, they specifically said that these people were taken, that these commentators were conned, that they didn't know they were being taken advantage of. That will either be shown or it won't, and we'll find out.
I don't agree with giving money to Ukraine and so much money to Ukraine before securing our own borders and our own self-interests, like taking care of veterans and homeless and everything else. That does not make me a Russian sympathizer because I don't want to send money to Ukraine.
Right.
So, I mean, somebody can say they disagree with that and not be a Russian sympathizer. It's just the small-mindedness of the American people today is ridiculous.
Well, it's a narrative, right?
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Leeroy.
For all of the right-leaning media that's out there, and when I say right-leaning, I'm not just talking about Tim Pool or Benny, or I'm talking Ben Shapiro. I'm talking Dave Rubin. I'm talking Jordan Peterson. What would happen, and this could be true, could be untrue, what would happen if people just started digging and started, kind of making up those kinds of same associations with Russia to try and discredit people like Damani or people like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro? How damaging is that? Is there any way we can combat that?
I'll open up my DD-214 and I'll open up what I did in the military and say I spent a career going after Ruskies. And you know what? I don't have to get into specifics, but I can at least talk about the things that I did do, and so can you. You're not going to sell that. You're not going to sell that real estate to people, because credibility is defined by your actions, not other people's accusations. And so I'm not afraid of that. What are you doing?
She's getting the cat because the cat will not leave me alone tonight.
So two things real quick. Damani, did you have something? Did you have something? And if you don't have something, Damani, tell people how they can follow you, what your social media handles are. I want to get that out there too, to make sure we can help out.
Well, what I was going to say, my mind kind of blanked there for a second. No, but I feel like what I was going to say is, if people were ever to dig into my history to see who I got paid from, what they would see is page after page of people reaching out to me. Hey, can you promote this? Can you share this coupon code and get some money back for yourself? You have to tell them that you're making money from it, just present it as money off. The answer has been no. I had people come to me, we promote the Freedom Phone and we'll give you a cut of how many people are going to buy the Freedom Phone. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not for sale in that capacity. So who's to know, if people dig far enough, they'll probably find out, somebody gave money, $1 back in the day, and they wound up being someone who moved to Russia. So now the money's compromised. This never is really going to end, but that's the level that we're at. But no, that's my take on that. But yeah, for anybody out there who is interested in following my work, you can find me on X at Damani Felder. You can find me on Facebook at Damani Bryant Felder. Find me on Instagram at Damani Felder. Find me on TikTok at Damani Felder. I'm on Telegram at t.me/Damani Felder. I'm on YouTube at Damani Felder. I'm on Truth Social at Damani Felder. So I'm sure there's some I'm missing. That's the best I can do right now. And yes, I am completely 100% independent. I'm just honored to be in the fight with like-minded patriots like yourselves, doing the yeoman's work. It's not always the most rewarding and definitely not financially fulfilling, but it's worth every penny invested. And we appreciate the generosity of you people out there who do choose to support our efforts. So thank you all so much.
Well said. Here. DamaniFelder.com. It's actually in the link. You can go to it right there. Click on it. I believe that is correct, right, Damani?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. You can click on that, go there, follow there. There's support there, donations there. Please take care of the man. He's super intelligent. Go watch the Christmas list episode. It's freaking hilarious.
I showed
good.
Ethan
I love
I showed Ethan when you were in two blue shirts portraying two different liberals and trying to talk about how you were gonna win the election. I showed that to Ethan today.
Yeah. My son, he's just a young lad, 13, 11. My daughter is 14, and he is into politics. Like Damani, you can't believe it, dude. This guy, he watches the table and he starts arguing with the TV.
Wow.
And it's great. And my daughter, she just refrains, but you don't want to let her loose. Like, oh my God, like that girl knows her stuff. And she just refrains and abstains from getting involved in politics. But when people were, going after her for wearing I Stand With Israel bracelet, I mean, she let them have it. She's like, you know what? Let's have a conversation about Gaza and Palestine. First of all, show me on the map where Palestine is, and they're just like, okay, I'm not getting involved. And my son is the same way. But I do want to show you that something happened today. It's big news, is the E. Jean Carroll case. Mershon, Herr Mershon, or Comrade Mershon has pushed the sentencing for Donald Trump, which this is kind of a faux pas thing. If you don't know,
questions about that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a tiny piece of it. It might be answered in this, is that usually within 90 days of an election, that's state and local predominantly, because this has never happened on the federal level. If there's any looming prosecutorial decision or looming sentencing, there's a stay of execution until after the election. This is an unwritten rule. It is not a formal rule. There's no law. And this is why I said he's not going to be sentenced. They're not going to sentence a president. This will set a precedent that nobody wants. He's not going to go to jail. If he wins, they might impeach him again, and we know what's going to happen. And if he loses, I don't consider that they are going to give him jail time. What they want is to destroy Donald Trump. But I simultaneously got on a Skype call with the Young Democrat Society of Millennials, and I want to show you their reaction. It's fantastic. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
Where's the chick with the glasses?
She's there in the lower left-hand corner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So their reaction.
I'd love to get our dude.
Yeah, it is. So I'd like to get our reactions from everybody. I know this is something that we know what this is about. Donald Trump is the worst human being on the planet because he ran for president. And we know this. But I'd love to get everyone's opinion on this, right, wrong, or indifferent. Let's hear it.
I can go first.
Okay, go.
I think the reason they're postponing it is they know they don't have anything, and it's going to come out that he's innocent or this, we can't do anything. And if it's before the election, then people are going to know that this has been all fake and fraud and everything else. So they're going to push it as far as they can, and then it's going to disappear into the wind after the election. No one's ever going to hear about it again.
Yeah, I think they know that. I think if people are really honest, I think they understand what this is. They're too much levels of cowards and their self-interest. It overrules their common sense. But most people know that E. Jean Carroll is crazier than a shithouse rat. And quote me, ma'am. Sue me too, please. I'll have those 35-cent checks to you monthly.
Doesn't she have some house out in the woods or something, living with, was it cats or
she paints rocks.
Pussy and Vagina, her two cats.
Yeah.
And she paints rocks pink and blue and trees.
Yeah. Well, that's the archetypal leftist herodin, unfortunately. So, it's par for the course.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's going to come of this. I think all they're trying to do is make an example out of Trump. And I tried to explain this to people, in the Republican primary, when there are people who are potentially warming to other of the Republican upshots at the time. And I said, look, if they aren't going after this candidate with the same vim and vigor that they're going after Trump right now, that should tell you who you probably should be supporting, because they're just setting a precedent it doesn't matter. Like, let's just play hypothetical. Let's pretend that Donald Trump dropped out of the Republican primary, and let's pretend that Ron DeSantis won. They'd be using the exact same playbook against Ron DeSantis. It doesn't matter. Donald Trump is literally setting the precedent. Right. So they're going to do whatever they can to make him appear illegitimate. I don't know why they keep doing this, because every time they do it, it shows that Trump gets more popular. It exposes the nakedness of their, what's the correct term? The nakedness of their political election interference. And it shows just how partisan and biased the whole process has become. So I don't think anything of substance is going to come from. It's going to be more of the same. They're going to throw out an accusation. People are going to be talking about it until the cows come home for the next 48 hours. And then the media cycle is going to shift. They'll talk about something else. It's never ending at this point.
Yeah. The thing is that truly, quickly, and then everyone else pitch in here, I believe it's not to save the polls. Love you. It's not to save the polls. It's not to delay something so he doesn't go forward. It's that they're not going to get the sentencing that they want, and Democrats are going to be pissed. They're not going to get jail time. They want jail time. And you know what they're going to do? That is going to upset people. And they need every single vote. Why do you think gas prices go down at this time? Why do you think the Fed always lowers interest rates? I'm telling you right now, within the next 60 days, the Fed will lower interest rates. Mark my words.
100%. They already
said they would.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
September, November.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I don't need to hear that, because it happens every single national election cycle when the economy is poor. This is a history of this. You will see that they need every single vote. So they're going to promise everything. They're going to run to the middle. And this is all fake. It's all fake. Donald Trump, I can't wait for the appeal process, because once this is out of New York, now the first one is going to fail. The district appeal is going to suck. But when you go to the federal, this is going to be, there will be charges brought up against Marchand as far as how he handled this case. Just the implied bias is enough to have him disrobed and dishonored and disbarred. Just wait. If you've just followed this in any way, shape, or form, the absolute biases inside this case alone is just a travesty. And remember, they threw away the document scandal. They threw away the election fraud in Georgia. Smith is trying to bring new charges on the J6, and that's going to go ahead and fall by the wayside. They don't have anything. They don't have anything. Oh, Hunter pled guilty, by the way, on taxes.
My God.
So let me ask you a question. Can we do a segue? Quick segue, and then we'll go back to it?
I had
all right, somebody go. All right, go ahead.
All right. I had a very strong opinion about this, because I do feel like it is not an accident that he is pushing this until after the election. There's an old adage out there that there is no such thing as bad publicity. And the fact that Kamala has been hiding in her basement and staying away from reporters means that if Trump gets sentenced, right, he would be on the news virtually for free, and that to some degree would affect the numbers, not necessarily in the way that Democrats want.
That's right.
And
They
so
pulled this.
I really feel like if they martyr him now, that they will already push more people away from Kamala, because let's face it, she has been talking up her prosecutorial record, of imprisoning people, imprisoning Black people, imprisoning drug offenders, imprisoning everyone that she could. She has a speech out there of her in front of a podium saying, with the swipe of my pen, I could put somebody, that speech has gone viral. And the problem
the free speech.
And the problem is that when you have somebody like that who's the opposition, now you have Trump, and you're getting ready to sentence him. What would be the demographic that would be most associated to go, oh, he's wrongfully imprisoned? Who does that sound like?
Homosexuals?
Get my point.
People in the wrong body. I don't know.
Are you saying that Black people would? Wow.
I'm saying
you really went out there. It is out there. Of course, it's out there.
Well, the thing is,
they use that.
Forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, not to cut you out. That's why, they are frequently reaching out to African Americans because we need criminal justice reform, right? That's one of the big things they run on. Okay, so that what you're implying then is that a lot of African American people have suffered due to implicit or some sort of explicit biases in the judicial system. So how much more hypocritical can you be than to literally do the exact same thing to someone else, essentially saying that, okay, it's not just about you being a minority. It's just we just do this to people that we don't like or have a personal vendetta against.
There
So
it
it'll
is.
blow up in their face.
That's absolutely, and that's the parallel, right? And Leeroy, I wasn't being condescending. I was, just making a joke, but that's the parallel that they will not want to create. Is if you humanize Donald Trump, this election's over.
Yep.
And they have to do whatever they can not to humanize him, because they learned that lesson when they started arresting him. Holy crap, America's turning on us. I told you this was going to happen. I said if they try to impeach Biden, it's going to ignite Biden's numbers, because Nixon got a bump, huge bump. Trump got a bump. Bill Clinton got a bump. Twice Trump got a bump, because they don't like bullies in the United States, and they don't like the political the political entourage feeding on another person. They want to make the choice. Americans are this disillusionment that their vote actually matters is something they cling to. And unfortunately, it only really matters for about 7% of the population on the national level. From the federal level, as president, it's really about 7% of the population that truly makes a difference. Otherwise, your vote doesn't really matter unless you're in a swing state. But for Senate, for state legislature, for county clerk recorder, to sheriff, to city council, your vote absolutely matters. So you need to get out there and vote, because down ticket is extremely important. Because if you give Donald Trump a lame duck, you're killing America. I've told you, I don't think if Trump wins, I don't think they're going to give him the House and the Senate. And that's my fear. But that's a whole nother conversation. I would rather have the presidency and worry about a lame duck presidency than have Kamala in there being an absolute lame duck who spends $50 trillion and kicks us over the top where we never can recover again. So let's just do this real quick before we go to the last thing. And I really want to get this in. December 13th is going to be Hunter Biden's sentencing. And by pleading guilty, why? Does anyone want to tell me? I would. My kid got it.
Yeah, he did.
My kid got it. And he's like, oh, I know why, Dad. So I'm asking y'all to be smarter than an 11-year-old. Why would Hunter Biden plead guilty now and not let this go to trial? Who wants to take it?
If you want my thoughts on it, I think it's because if he does it at this particular time, it gives him the opportunity to be pardoned by his father, who would still technically be the president, even though he's president in name only. And I think that's the only plausible route that I can deduce from that. That is what his intentions are, and he wants to sneak out just before a new administration would come in.
Perfect. That's exactly it. That's the only reason. Because if it goes to trial, it's going to be 6 months, 3 months, whatever it's going to be, and Biden will be out. But if you do it, they knew that. They were running the clock on this. They were trying to run the clock on this to see if they could go ahead and get it in. They can't. So he has to plead guilty. And by doing that, he gets to fall on the sword and say, I'm guilty. I was a drug addict, and I didn't mean to not pay $2.7 million in taxes, just like all of us haven't. He came out today and said that. I'm just like an average American and didn't pay his taxes. You douche plow. No. But it puts him in the window of January 20th, 2025, when his father officially steps down or falls down, probably falls down. And he can go ahead and pardon him or defer his overall sentencing. So if you think this is, I had a crisis of conscience, and now I have a moment of clarity that alcoholics talk about. No, this is this guy trying to save his bacon and have his daddy go ahead and defer his sentence. So thank you for doing that. Here's the next thing, and it's not because Damani's black, but let's watch this video because Damani's black.
What?
This was at the Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs. By the way, seriously, dude, keep your toe in the line. I can't stand Kansas City. And
That's what Ethan said.
this is the Black National Anthem being played before the National Anthem. I have some thoughts.
I didn't know there was a Black National Anthem.
There is a
Yeah.
Black National Anthem, and this is it.
Look at all the cheerleaders back there looking on lovingly.
Yes, yeah.
Look at what we're doing for this poor, marginalized, disenfranchised black woman. It's so condescending and disrespectful.
I guess.
What year
but
was
Johnny's
the
got-
Black National Anthem written and like put into relevance? I guess
we will talk about that, but Damani's going to go first. He's got an opinion.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what song she was singing at first, and then I heard some more of the chorus, and it came to me it's technically called the Negro National Anthem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ostensibly it's supposed to be some sort of unifying song for black people in America. The statement itself, the name itself is an oxymoron because it's the Black National Anthem. To assume that there is a black nation altogether is preposterous, but I digress. This is just what the NFL does. I think it was James O'Keefe or it was O'Keefe Media Group recently had a video that they exposed one of the higher ups within the NFL talking about how they do what they do just to make money and appeal to as many people as possible. They don't really feel, we need to support BLM because we really believe in Black Lives Matter, because they know that BLM was just a front organization. People can launder money and buy houses in gated white neighborhoods anyway. I digress yet again. But the fact remains that all they want to do is create the illusion of supporting whatever the latest current thing is. They've done this before. They'll do it again. I don't even watch the NFL. This will be my, I believe, 5th or 6th consecutive season. I haven't watched a single game. And you know what? I'm so much better for it. If that's what I see when I turn on the TV is, here's a great opportunity to divide everyone instead of the national anthem for the USA, which encompasses everyone, by the way. It goes to show the lengths that these large organizations will go to continue to sow that division that they want to have and deepen that racial divide. We've gone so far backwards as a country over these past, I would argue, 12 to 16 years from the standpoint of race relations. And it has to do with these big organizations. And they think they can do this with impunity because they're like, we're still going to get fans in the seats. We're still going to be able to sell tickets. And, we have to question ourselves and look inward a bit and say, okay, well, I guess if I still am choosing to support this with my time, with my viewership, with my dollars or attending games, maybe it's not the best use of my time if I'm going to have to sit there and suffer through an agenda being shoved down my throat. Harrison Butker and others notwithstanding, there are some good figures in the National Football League. But I would argue the National Football League, actually would be better known as the National Felon League because of the individuals who are minority individuals who were pushed through the system, pushed through the school system. And they're like, you're good at football, so it's okay. We'll just say you did okay on your test scores. Oh, yeah, you can get a 800 on your SAT score, cumulative score, by the way, but you can go to college and it's okay. Oh, you want to get paid now in college? Okay, we'll do that for you. Oh, you're so oppressed. Go to the National Football League where the majority of the football players are black themselves and tell me how oppressed you are. Let's sing the Black National Anthem before the game where you make millions of dollars for playing a child's game. Sorry, I kind of waxed loquacious on that, but you know what? It's worth mentioning because all those things that actually matter, and I'm so tired of this blatant pandering to the demographic out there that thinks that this is what's actually important when we have far more important issues to deal with. I yield back.
Did anyone take a knee during this anthem?
No, no one did.
Dear Diary, Damani Felder is a racist Negro. Love Matt Spear. You know what? Damani and I have this relationship because he fucking gets me, okay? And he understands that I would take a baseball bat to anyone who tried to hurt him, okay? I do that with everyone I love. I do that with people I love. So I'm going to say whatever the hell I want. Perfect, dude. Like so freaking mic
I don't
drop.
know how to follow it up, but that was perfect.
Perfect. Olivia has an opinion on this because the San Diego Chargers sucked and moved on her, and she likes to say she doesn't watch.
No, it just happened to be. There's a reason I have not watched football since 2017, and it just happened to me when the Chargers were moving out of San Diego into LA, and I refused to root for an LA team, even though I was a lifelong Chargers fan. And it happened to be the season they started kneeling. And I flat out refused to watch them after that. I said, nope, I'll start watching a different sport. And I found baseball and the Houston Astros, and I'm happy. But and then I started finding out more stuff about the NFL and finding out that the players wanted to put 9/11 stuff on their shoes just to remember not the victim as a 9/11. NFL told them, no, the shoes have to be uniform. You cannot. But then they allowed George Floyd on the back of all the uniforms one Sunday. Seriously? Really? You're not going to remember how many thousands of people died in 9/11 on a terrorist attack, but you're going to let people remember one felon who was a piece of shit, in my opinion, completely. I don't like him. And I don't like the NFL. They're corrupt. They're evil. And it also, the one thing that just really pissed me off, and I can't remember the teams, but there was one guy who was a veteran. Can't remember who it was. He was a white guy. And everyone on his team decided instead of kneeling, they were going to stay in their dressing room, locker room.
This is Pittsburgh.
And was it Pittsburgh? Okay, yeah.
Nope.
I was thinking the Giants, but no, it's Pittsburgh. And he came out and he stood for the national anthem and put his hand over his heart. And he was ridiculed. And he had to publicly come out and apologize. He is a veteran. He fought for your freedom. And he had to apologize to his teammates that he offended for standing up for the national anthem.
He didn't have to. He didn't have to.
NFL is my opinion. Wow. And the only reason I watch it is because Ethan enjoys it, and I love spending time with my son and seeing how excited he gets. And I'm not going to ruin it for him. But yeah, I am not a fan of the NFL at all, if you can't tell.
Yeah. Leeroy, Amy?
I will say this. I actually stopped watching the same year you did, Liv, because when they started kneeling, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I was like a diehard Ravens fan through and through. Like, that was like the most amazing thing growing up. When they came to freaking Baltimore, I lived in Maryland. We were so happy. Had all the Ravens gear, went to games, all the stuff. When they started kneeling, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I don't care. You're taking the money. I'm paying you to go to games, spend my money on the gear, and you're not respecting our national anthem, who you're playing under that umbrella. I'm sorry, this is our nation. You're playing under that umbrella first. Stand up, put your hand over your heart.
Yeah.
Show respect. That's my opinion. But I, like you, Olivia, my son is now into football and wants to watch. I actually didn't watch last night. I watched the beginning of it because my father's still a diehard fan, and I watched like maybe 5 minutes, but I was like, I don't care about this at all. I'm taking my sleepy time tea and going to bed. But I am. It goes back to our conversation earlier. How much can you be bought for? I don't know how everyone feels on these teams. I don't know what I would do in that situation. A lot of these young men, and half of them are like barely not children anymore. You know, there's so many young men on these teams. I truly don't know what they come from or what they didn't have or whatever. But if someone offered me that much money when I was in college or just out of college, I don't know if I would have had the mental capacity or the moral structure at that point in my life to go, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth to trade my relationship with Jesus to get that money. I don't know if I would be okay. I don't know. I would be in a different, you know what I mean? Like, it's really goes back to the home life. Raise your kids right, people.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, then Leeroy, please.
So if this doesn't tell you also about the NFL, we of course love our sports, our hockey and our baseball. And we get our hockey pretty much for free every year because it's on our channel that we stream. But baseball, we don't
That's not true. That's a complete lie. We pay for it. NHL.
We pay for
Live. Overshare. Shush.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Go ahead.
But we don't get our baseball games because, of course, we're not, we can't get them. So we pay for MLB. We pay $30 a month during the season. We get 164 games, except for the times that they're in frickin' Baltimore and they get blacked out.
Or
But
Washington.
Or Washington. But we get 164 games and we can watch any team we want.
Listen to this.
Ethan really loves the Broncos. And since the Broncos...
He's mentally retarded.
Since the Broncos have really, really sucked, they haven't been showing them because cable likes to now pick and choose which teams they're going to show. They don't show every single game. So he got to watch like 2 Broncos games last year, and he was all disappointed. And he really, really wanted to watch them. So we looked into getting the package so he could watch it. $350. $350.
No, it's more than that. It's 550.
But to get every game,
Yeah,
even the ones that are blacked out, $550 for 16 games.
Yeah.
16 games. Are you freaking serious?
Yeah, so
I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm sorry, bud. I love you, but no, not going to do it.
So what we did is Olivia and I went ahead and hit our heads with hammers so we could have TBIs from helmet to helmet impact and smoke some crack, and we felt like we were already there. So that's what we so,
Oh man.
I knew I'd get Damani.
Oh, my God.
Right when I thought of it, I said, Damani's going to love this. He's going to love it.
It's the
He's a
deadpan
football
delivery. It gets me every time.
Listen, it's the straight face. Listen, a couple things. I know my humor isn't for everybody. I don't care, because humor is a beautiful thing. And when you can laugh and you can joke, and the thing is can you take it? That's the thing. There's going to be some times that Damani's going to let loose on me. Leeroy does it all the time, and it just rolls off my back, and I'm like, my turn. And that's what we do. No, you not on my back. Stop it down, boy. So you got to laugh. You got to joke around. You got to say things that we're too effing serious nowadays. I'm going to just put a bow on this, and then this is my minute, and everyone's going to get their minute, and then we're going to get out of here. If your whole point is to stop separation and segregation, and you feel that it's not inclusive in the national anthem, which has nothing to do about race or color. In fact, if you take a look at the red, white, and blue, the 13 stripes, the 50 stars, and the field of blue, none of that represents color. It represents words like purity and justice and honor. And the 50 states are represented, and it's inclusive to all people. So you have that. But if your whole point is to stop division, and then you name it the Negro / Black national anthem, aren't you doing exactly what you're trying to protest? Because I don't see the brown national anthem, the yellow national anthem, the IP sitting down or standing up national anthem. We already have it. And this is why people get upset, because it's redundant and you don't need a national anthem. A lot of people don't know this. There is a fourth. Does everyone know there's a fourth verse to the national anthem?
I did not know that.
Yeah. And it specifically talks about slaves. And it was removed already. So an accommodation has been made. This is why reparations are a joke. So this is how I fight reparations. And I'm going to tell you my debate style, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave. When somebody talks about reparations, I say, that's awesome. So you believe that someone will give you a sum of money and you'll be healed. How much money would that take for you to go ahead and compromise your values? And then they can say, well, I don't know, but here's what we're owed, because if you take the times that slaves were on the plantations by the 40 acres and a mule, this is what we well, how much is it? $176 million per African American. Okay, great. So let me ask you this. When we made reparations in the national anthem and removed the parts that you said were racist, before you even asked, because nobody went ahead and made a beef about it, it was removed when we made the song, realizing that we were to be sensitive to the people who were in chains. Do you embrace the national anthem? No, I don't, because it's racist. There you go. Then reparations aren't going to work either. You can have that money, but you're still going to hate America, or you're going to hate what it stands for. That doesn't change it. It has to be a part of you. You have to love this country. You don't have to, but you either do or you don't. And no amount of money is going to fix that. So that's my last minute. Damani, dude, I love having you on. Thank you so much.
Can I comment on the football thing?
Sure. I thought you did. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't get a chance yet.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry, Leeroy. Go right ahead, buddy.
No. Don't worry about it.
That's okay.
When we're
Anyway,
talking
Damani.
about
So,
I don't know.
when we're talking about dissecting everyone in the United States by either, first of all, I don't follow sports. Sports ball is dumb to me. I don't follow it. I'll watch an MMA fight, but that's it. And so when I'm listening to everyone have their own national anthem, I find it just mind numbing. And I'll tell you why. First, it's about race. Then eventually it'll be about religion, and then sex or gender. At some point, we're going to start having their own national anthem for Jewish people or women. And at some point, it'll devolve into the lesbian eye patch wearing little people, with a left leg amputee. Like, it'll get that specific, right?
Mhm.
And it all falls under this idea of intersectionality. And what that does, it's a philosophy of victimhood. It's a
Mhm.
philosophy that says, hey, we need to focus on this group because somehow they had it worse. Okay, fine. Now follow that through to its logical conclusion. Okay. If we're really talking about having a national anthem or some special day for everyone, right? Then at what point are we getting to just celebrating the individual? At what point are we going to start looking at the celebration, not for me as a white man or Damani as a black man or Amy? It doesn't matter.
As a
If we're
black
just
man, you
looking,
can say it.
I'm hung like a black man.
I'm not done yet. If we are talking about celebrating people for who they are, then really we're talking about a celebration of the individual, and that is what republicanism is about. And that's why we have one damned national anthem.
You embraced your inner Kamala there. I'm so very proud.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I am talking.
I'm talking. I am talking. Damn good, buddy. Before we get to our final minute, Dumb Nation. This was a great comment. Just got a 5-star review. By the way, we have over 150 5-star reviews. We are ranked in the top 1% of all stores on the internet, something we don't talk about enough. We have unbelievable customer service, the greatest shirts you've ever felt. They are soft and comfortable. And here's a testimony from one of our customers, Dumb Nation Skull Flag. I'm not kidding. It just came in and they're going to say, yeah, I just did my review. I wish I could give more than 5 stars. I would give at least 1,000. It is so soft, made really well, and delivery was quick. Thank you so much. I will totally be buying again. People love our stuff because we don't sell tchotchke shit. We charge a lot. And we make a margin on it because it's high quality stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. Go over to thedumbstore.com at thedumbshow.com and take a look.
Maureen.
Thank you. The next thing is we all want to sing happy birthday because it always goes so well. I can't imagine how well it's going to go with 5 people. Maureen Flood, she is a moderator for our show. She is a good fan and a good friend, and we love her to death. It is her birthday today.
On Monday. Or Sunday, the 8th.
It is her birthday on Sunday, the 8th, but it's her birthday in Australia. So we're going to go ahead and sing happy birthday.
Do it now.
And are we actually going to sing this shit? Are we not? Okay, let's do it. Damani, your bass. I'll go ahead and take, here we go.
I'll be first soprano.
I am obviously whatever the voice is for a 14-year-old girl. We'll go with that.
That would you don't have to do much. It's called a gelding and you qualify.
What? Gelding?
And Amy's going to bring Amy's going to bring the ho slang element. Okay, ready? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Maureen. Happy birthday to you. God, that sucked.
Oh, Maureen, I hope you enjoy that because that was the worst rendition ever.
I would rather
that's
sing
going to
the
be
Black
available
National
on
Anthem.
replay.
I'm going to cut it.
Okay,
Olivia, 1 minute, go.
Damani, it was a pleasure to have you back. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope to see you many more times. And you should send some more pictures of your baby girl because she's just so cute.
Yeah, she's adorable. She really is. I saw the picture. I think it was 9 month. Was that 9 month that you posted?
9 months. Yep. 9 months, 2 days ago. Yeah.
Dude, I follow your stuff, dude. I truly am a fan. Well, I'm not a fan. I mean, I can't be a fan by doing this business, but I do appreciate you. And when you do make videos, I give them at least, I qualify past the 30-second mark because I know that's the I'm like, I at least got to give them a 30-second. And then I get pulled in and then I'm like, I got to do my work. Olivia, any other comments for your minute?
Everyone have a wonderful weekend. I know I'm going to enjoy mine just relaxing.
Leeroy, you are a huge fan, and I don't think I gave you any time, so I want to just give it to you. You get your 2. Anything you wanted to ask Damani or whatever, because I know you love intellectuals, and this guy, Damani, this guy talks about you all the time. So Leeroy, you've got an extra minute.
It's like close to obsessive,
Yeah,
like stalkerish, maybe.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird.
That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Not like that. Come on. But I do have a thing for Idris Elba, if that makes you feel uncomfortable. No,
He likes Nubians.
okay.
He likes he likes Nubian males.
No, I'll tell you what it is. It is nice when you can recognize your thought process in somebody else. When you can say, "Oh my God, that dude is verbalizing the shit that I am thinking, and we are on the same page." A lot of times when I'm watching your videos, that's how it comes across. And so I automatically felt like a really good connection. And it's weird. I work with somebody who works in Hollywood, right? And I never treat them any different. And I always felt like one of the pitfalls in Hollywood is that, like, when actors are up on the screen, they must have 10 million people who all think they know who that person is. And, you know, this is a little different because it's more genuine, because you do put yourself out there. I really do feel like I think I know who Damani is, at least in part, right? But he doesn't know me. He doesn't know me from Adam. And so, yeah, that's the double-edged sword of things, I guess.
I really appreciate that. That means a lot. I mean, it's just one thing to do this job. You know, it's all a job on social media, but to be able to form those real, lasting, personal relationships, that's one of the things that I will never take for granted. You know, people sometimes are afraid to lend their voices to the fray in this political arena. But if all of us had decided to just sit on the sidelines or not say anything because we were afraid about what friends would say, or afraid of what people would think, we wouldn't be having this conversation tonight. And that's the power of having that independent thought and then that boldness to wage war on the ideological battlefield. And I couldn't be prouder to do it alongside you all.
I want to thank Leeroy for bringing this relationship together. He worked tirelessly 2.5 years ago, and it would all be for naught without him. So I give Leeroy a hard time because I love to. By the way, if you're looking to file a restraining order in Ohio, I can help you with that. I've already filed one against him. So, Damani, let me know. Amy, go ahead.
Take the cameras out of your room.
Shit. I don't have a comeback. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, just to add to that really quickly, Leeroy is like such a fangirl. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had posters in his room, like wherever. I don't know. He literally does talk about you all. We're not exaggerating. He really loves you, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. Like, he truly loves you, and
he has drill tomorrow. He has drill tomorrow when he's here. I mean, he's got to be up at like 0400.
He's never here when on drill night. So
I know, what a dick.
Very important. No, and I am grateful that Leeroy brought you to this mess here, because this is what we do. Because I didn't know a ton about you and your brother prior to Leeroy talking about you, and I've done a lot of watching and researching, and I've really grown to love you. And after our last show with you, I just was like, I just love that guy. He's amazing. I don't know your wife, but I just feel like I would love her too. I don't know. I'm like, come visit us. I'm always like, come stay with us. Bring the baby. I miss having a baby. Bring the baby.
You have a built babysitter if you come here.
Hey, that's what I heard that loud and clear.
Jesus, you're not allowed on my show ever again, dude. These people are supposed to be loyal to me. What the fuck? Nobody ever asked me to live with them. It's horrible.
You can't live with me.
Great.
No, let me
Black guy walks in and takes my job. No, seriously.
Oh my God.
This is a white job. What's wrong with you people?
For equality. It's for equality there. I'll have you know.
You can sleep with my wife anytime you want, just because I want to go ahead and have my white guilt suppressed.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, man. Damani, it's your minute, buddy. You've earned it. Go ahead.
No, thank you all again for having me. I look forward to many more conversations coming on. The first time, I was very honored, but I was like, I don't know what to say. I feel so much more relaxed now. I feel like y'all truly have become part of my family, and I look forward to our next conversation. But truly, these are the conversations that will shape the fabric of the country, the trajectory we're going to be on long into the future. We have to be willing to have those conversations, no matter how difficult they may be, but also not forget to have fun along the way, because that's sometimes the best part But thank you guys so much for having me. I truly do love and appreciate the support. I do my best to share y'all's work. I don't see it as often as I should because the algorithms sometimes throw me off, but I'm going to try to be better about that because it's important to me that people hear y'all's voices as well, if not more so than my own. So nothing but the best to everyone. God bless you all. God keep you all. Everybody out there watching, thank you guys so much for the continued support. Do everything you can, if you can, to support these guys here and the Lord's work that they're doing. And just know that I look forward to my next time being back on.
God, I felt that if we could figure out how to do this every show. This is actually a good show. I'm like, how do we?
Whoa! I don't find any offense in that one at all, buddy.
Yeah, well, he kind of lifts us up. You know, I feel like I lift our voices and sing. We should sing the Black National Anthem, folks. Good night.
No,
Thanks
do
for
not do
watching.
that.
Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. We go out like we always do. We're going to do a Wimkin commercial. Wimkin is super important, folks. Free Speech Network, 100% free speech. You will never be judged. Well, you might be judged, but you're not going to be banned or shut down. It is a free speech network. It's social media. If you are ever worried about losing Damani Felder or him being deplatformed or me or anyone else that we interact with, this is the best way. Go to wimkin.com, sign up, do that for me. You always know when Yahoo and Google won't go ahead and forward an email to you from Wimkin, it shows that they are doing whatever they can to stop this because they're in the pockets of their own social networks. Go over to wimkin.com, sign up. Remember your email, remember your password, just put it in tomorrow. Jason approves every single account as CEO. It's pretty amazing. No bots. It's all free speech. Go over there and do that. We will have the VCL commercial, take care of the veterans, 22 veterans a day, and then we'll follow up with our closing video. We will not be back, so we will say goodnight. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Damani, you're the man.
Hey, y'all.
Love y'all.
Good night.
Take care.
Damani, it was a
See ya.
pleasure.
Always
Thanks,
a pleasure.
Leeroy. Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Damani. Love you guys.
Love y'all too.
Appreciate it.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.